Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to start a first session of the day on status of market. And you all know the session is going to be taken care of by one and only Dario Betti, CEO, MEF. Come on, a dynamic personality on stage, ladies and gentlemen. I want a huge round of applause. We can do better than that. Over to you, Dario. Thank you.
You are, Shirley. And thank you. And lovely, the auspicious for the entire industry. We all need it. But we should say that industry like us has been very lucky indeed. So we have all of you auspicious in our back. I wanted to spend some time with you before we go into the innovations, because today is going to be a fast pace through what's coming next, all the things that are changing. And I thought that I'll be the one that says, talking about the past. Let's talk about the status for a second of what this industry is happening. But I also, it's not just what's happening in this industry, but how India in itself is changing in its role in this industry. You will see for some of the numbers we have collected, but I would suggest to you that at one point, possibly even the MEF Leadership Forum 3 years ago was still about India as a local market. Today, I would say we talk about a global India, because it's not just that what happens in India has got an impact globally. It's not just the numbers. It's the quality, it's the innovation, it's the infrastructure, it's the innovations in terms of ideas that are in these countries that have got a big impact. So let's have a look and see if these numbers prove us right as well. Some of these numbers are all available through all of our MEF areas, and I should point it out, if you remember, that from, effectively from the last AGM, from November, we have collected lots of data, a few millions data points right now, on what we call MEF data. It's available for all of you, go and use it. But if you are starting with a very basic about India, and these are numbers that come from Tribe, so this is the official information, optimized with a few of our definitions as well. But look at that. Look at this market. Look at the number of what we call talk, text, and data. So that's your data services. That's your users, but you use data as well as. And that has been a phenomenal growth that is now going of 835 million. The real change is that at the bottom, the percentage, if you want, the growth of that is continuous and strong. The number of voice and data only, as SMS only, is reducing. And that really shows how the digitalizations in this market is happening. Consumers are embracing this information as well. Apologies, you might not see the bottom. I'll try and tell you what's at the bottom, but in that case, the big blue line, the up to 835 million is the SIMs for data as well as talk and text, while the light blue is just this SMS and voice element. But, so apologies. So what we're seeing is actually a real change in the last 5 to 10 years on the infrastructure growth in India as well. And I'm referring to that both on the network infrastructure, there could be another slide, we're not going to lots of details, but also on the handsets and the quality of the handsets we are seeing. It is, as you can imagine, a smartphone market now, really, and a growth of 50% since the year 2020. So this is actually users and consumers that are embracing these new services. It's not just even that. Let's look at our market. Let's look at these, which is business messaging, for instance, one of our key components in MEF. And there you can also see the healthy amount, how much enterprises are enjoying and taking use of SMS. It's not just SMS as well. WhatsApp. And this is one of the countries where WhatsApp usage has been redefined by India and an Indian market. It might have been small until recently in comparison to the number of SMS. Long life for SMS, long live SMS. But look at those numbers away. Very interesting, the 78 billion. These numbers come from our partners. You will find it in Mobile Square. It provides our numbers from that. 78 billion messages were expected to be WhatsApp messages in India in 2023. And you can see the 5, almost 6 billion of SMS messages on the side. And with that, there is, you can't see it really, but the green is WhatsApp, but there will be a purple color in there, which you might have to use a small magnifying lens right now to see, but the number is there, and the growth is fantastic. From small number by 6,000% of growth, which is RCS. And again, India is a market where it's redefining new solutions, including RCS. Growth of about 1 billion we've seen last year, almost close to 2, according to Mobile Squared, messages, being paid messages for RCS business last year. So lots of changes, lots of interesting developments. But let me talk of the other side for a while, because in a few weeks, we're going to be releasing our study of 15 countries. We've done it. There will be 10 years. We look at consumers and what they think of our industry overall. We call it a global trust study, because one of the things that we believe identifies the development of this industry is the attack. We've heard it from Ashutosh as well, the attack from frauds, and the fact that so much of this industry is bringing together all of our great values, and that's what fraudsters would like to use against us. How do they feel it? How, and specifically in India, how do they think that they have, do they trust within the industry? So well done to this industry for what is an above benchmark. Within those 15 countries, if you look at the average, India shows in our metrics 63% versus 55%, considerably better. So consumers in India are excited and happy to embrace the digital services, and they don't feel as much a threat of some of the trust. There might be something we could say about some of the education side on some elements, but overall, a very positive side. And if we look at what people tend to do, I mean, 60% still show that there are some people out there that are not 100% happy with things that are taking place in this industry. So we have to clear up the act. That's what the consumers do. And if you ask them, the main difference from the global benchmark, which is an interesting one, is that consumers in India seems to be much more interested about finding and using tools to protect their data. That's something we don't see. That's a 35%, 1 in 3, versus the 25, 1 in 4 globally. So the interesting element, because also data and data education tools for protecting yourself are not very common. But they do many other things, including only picking the services that they can trust. Trust is an important. Paying attention to TNCs, or at least they say so. Whether people really do globally is to be seen, etc. And only 16% in this country, in India, 12% globally, would say that they don't do anything. They're not worried about their data and how it's kept, or the potential frauds in this industry. There's another part of the optimism in India, and I say it's going, say, all of these services that are now being entered and being used by many more in the industry. These are numbers for smartphone users. And you can see how exciting from 2020 to 2024 is pretty much even still stays still. The people are saying, I get valuable services, I'm going to give my data, I'm going to let you use my data. So the data economy is still working for the majority of people here. They see that there is a share, and for majority it's a fair share of money, but they're still concerned about their data. But let's have a look at the services that they're doing and they're enjoying in India, and how they've changed since 2020. Again, smartphone users is here. It shouldn't surprise globally, but especially here, videos and music are so strong. 2/3 of our users will reflect them. But the real big changes that have happened in the last 3 years are in the middle services, the lift that happened there. And if you look at those services, social media has been growing, games has been growing, but really it's transactional. It's using your phone to buy, to pay for things, to discover things, to get services done, delivered to you as well. So that's sending money, plus 11 percentage points, ordering products, the great delivery, food delivering as well, digital wallets also growing by 12%, so 12 percentage point. So big in the payments related activity, big growth what we are seeing there. So this is a market that is really changing and it's now starting to take much more leadership in what happens out there. Now, a quick questions, because also it's an election year, and that's usually very important for any country we've seen in elections. How much social media shape the debate, and how much do people trust the debate that is shaped from them? Here we see that in India, more positive towards Facebook and X as two platforms which you know very well. X used to be Twitter. Free speech is possible on this platform? Yes. So they're happy to share and thinking they're going to be sharing their information. But do you trust the content on this platform? This is where some of the governments have said that there have been infiltration from other governments trying to use the platform for other specific, non-related to free speech, but to propaganda elements. And there we go. So 60% of Indians do trust Facebook. That's compared to 44% globally. So there's a much higher level of inclusion acceptance of these, which is good for the industry. Equally, you might want to go and check how things are going to be developing or what messages are in there. That's coming back to something we do is how do people like to communicate in this industry? Some changes in India. How do they like to hear from companies? How do they want to receive their messages or communications? Usually we see phone much higher in any of these, but not in India. It is WhatsApp, number one. 50% of people will say, I would like to hear from a WhatsApp message. Email is number two. Email is usually always there, and if sometimes topping the list, texting is number three. That's your SMS. And then phone calls, etc. So this is a market already that has embraced some of those changes out there, and conversational commerce is out there as well. What about how do you want to communicate with? How do you want to start a conversation with a company? And that's WhatsApp still. Followed by email, and here phone calls. In SMS, we probably on conversational commerce, we have to improve a bit. And you can see some changes, Facebook messages in there, but obviously Android is between the 20% there. Android messages RCS. Anyway, that's what people are saying, but you can tell me if we're wrong. One more thing, and I think it's going to be the end, but I wanted to show you how exciting and different India is in comparison to the world. This is usually quite consistent. Ask, what are the priorities for you consumers, for regulators to look at? And the first thing is ensuring big telecom, some of the big companies, they don't have too much power on data. This is quite consistent. Number two is preventing harmful content online, also quite consistent. Usually, globally, the number third one is protections of age-restricted access, content and services where you need to prove your age. In India, forward-looking as you might be as well, you're referring about AI, regulating artificial intelligence, interested in it all. I mean, how much more entrenched in technology and technology debate is in this country. So this is some of the changes. This is the status. But what I'm going to be asking next, and I'll see if I'm going to grab a few minutes to put my shoes on, but I'm enjoying these. I feel very relaxed, and maybe I might keep it. But I wanted to just share with you some of the excitement that we, myself, from the external, see India for. So India is not just a local market, but for us, India is the new global market. You are shaping this market, but not only this market. By shaping India, you're shaping the globe. So we want to talk to the leadership out there and say, how can we take it to a good growth, but to is also an ethical growth, and to a growth which is sustainable as we want. So lots of work, but all very hard work for you. So I'm going to be asked Charlene to tell us what's happening next.